And also understand, this is simply just a small down payment towards what the U.S. government owes the descendants of American slavery, the same way that $31 billion that you're giving to Native American communities was simply a down payment towards what's owed to them. And it should also be done just as quietly as it was done for the AAPI community back in May 13th of 2019, when Donald Trump signed the executive order on economic empowerment of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But we can't do anything that's exclusively for one group or race of people. That would be divisive. That would be unconstitutional. That would be reverse racism. I've said this before in past videos, and I'm going to say it again now. The only justice that matters is economic justice, and anything outside of that is a waste of time. But brother, we can walk and chew gum at the same? No, we can't. No, we can't. You prioritize what's most important, you accomplish that goal, and then you move on to what's next on your list of agendas. Brothers and sisters, the next 3 to 9 years are going to be very critical for us, and if you don't understand why, I strongly suggest you go back and watch my video titled Joe Biden, Immigration, and the End of Black America. Because trust me when I tell you, this is going to be the last decade for Black America. And very strategically, the dominant society and their co-conspirators, the Congressional Black Caucus, are sending you off in the wrong direction. Please hear me clearly. You can let everyone out of prison right now, and every police officer can become as soft as the Care Bears, and you would still be woefully dependent on the dominant society for your daily bread, looking confused as to why it is that I have the same college degree as my white counterpart, yet I'm still unemployed. And even if you don't have a college degree, you can have a high school diploma or be a high school dropout. It doesn't matter, because no matter how you slice it, somehow you're still less employed than your white counterparts. You are on the verge of wasting your last politically relevant decade on criminal justice reform and police brutality, to which none of this has anything to do with closing the racial wealth gap or stopping the fact that by 2053, the median wealth of Black Americans will fall to 0. In the very near future, economically speaking, you are going to be the walking dead out here. And even Joe Biden knows this to be true. And I quote, "Unless the Black community is able to make up the wealth gap, in my humble opinion, there is real trouble."
Unless the Black community is able to make up the wealth gap, in my humble opinion, is real trouble.
Understand, the only way you can hold a politician accountable is if you take their words and constantly demand them to do what they said they were going to do. And in the case of Joe Biden, during his meeting with these so-called Black leaders, he actually slipped up and broke the benign neglect policy that politicians have been using on Black Americans since 1970. And if you're confused as to what the benign neglect policy is, I strongly suggest you go watch my video titled Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, and Benign Neglect, The Art of Ignoring Black Politics. But now back to this meeting, because Joe Biden clearly understands that economic justice is all that truly matters. And with admitting that understanding, he actually broke the benign neglect policy by stating, and I quote, "I plan on spending over $15 billion to provide for opportunity for young Black entrepreneurs to get them off the ground."
We talked about closing the racial wealth gap. That's the single biggest thing I want to get done. It's the ultimate equalizer, no matter what else happens. Because I plan on spending over $15 billion to provide for opportunity for young Black entrepreneurs to get them off the ground, Black farmers to be able to own their own property, young people being able to get their first $15,000 down payment on a home, making sure that they have an opportunity to gain wealth. We can do all the rest of this unless the Black community is able to make up the wealth gap, in my humble opinion, is real trouble.
It's time for Joe Biden to unlock that over $15 billion to, and I quote, "provide for opportunity for young Black entrepreneurs to get them off the ground." And it should be done in the same fashion that the Prime Minister of Canada is doing it.
This morning, I can announce that the Government of Canada, in partnership with Canadian banks is investing nearly $221 million to launch Canada's first ever Black Entrepreneurship Program. The Government of Canada's share will be nearly $93 million over 4 years as part of this program. The Black Entrepreneurship Program will help thousands of Black business owners through our economic recovery and into the months and years ahead.
That's how it should be done. One of the #1 reasons for businesses failing is the lack of startup capital. And if you would take the time to read What We Get Wrong About Closing the Racial Wealth Gap by William Darity Jr. and a host of others, you would see that it goes on to say that in a 2010 study, the Minority Business Development Agency found that white business owners started their businesses with an average of $106,702 in capital compared to $35,205 for African American owned businesses. We must keep in mind the primary reason for business failure is low capitalization at the start. And Blacks begin the entrepreneurship game with low capital finance, reinforcing the theme that wealth begets wealth. And also understand, this is simply just a small down payment towards what the U.S. government owes the descendants of American slavery, the same way that $31 billion that you're giving to Native American communities was simply a down payment towards what's owed to them. And it should also be done just as quietly as it was done for the AAPI community back in May 13th of 2019 when Donald Trump signed the executive order on economic empowerment of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But we can't do anything that's exclusively for one group or race of people. That would be divisive. That would be unconstitutional. That would be reverse racism. Like I've said multiple times in previous videos, those excuses only come out when you're talking about doing something that is exclusively for the descendants of American slavery. But when it comes to all other groups, races, and ethnicities, there's all types of money and economic empowerment legislation flying around under the radar of mainstream media. Oh, and here's a good one. Where's the money going to come from to pay for this? Well, the money will come from the same place that $31 billion came from for Native communities. Or how about the same place that the $50 million came from for the AAPI community? Or you can get it from that same place that Obama got the $12 million for Holocaust survivors. Now, let me take a quick moment to read this highlighted section for you, okay? Funds to be distributed over 5 years. 1/4 of 130,000 U.S. victims of Nazi persecution live under poverty line. If the United States government can find a way to pay out reparations to Holocaust survivors for an atrocity that the U.S. didn't even commit, then you can find a way to pay out reparations to the descendants of American slavery, let alone that $15 billion to provide opportunity for young Black entrepreneurs to get them off the ground. I'm not here for excuses. Cut the check and live up to your word.
And especially for those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb, the African-American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours.
And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I release a new video. But it also serves as a protection plan for myself in case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe. I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. For those of you who have been subscribed to this channel for quite some time now and have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the #1 way you can support me is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to be able to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. The goal is not to grow big on YouTube. It is to grow independent of YouTube. And last but certainly not least, please make sure you join the emailing list. The link will also be pinned in the comment section below. Understand that I'm not joking around when I talk about going independent of YouTube, but there's no way for me to go independent of YouTube if I cannot take my audience with me. So if you don't do anything else, please make sure you hit that link pinned in the comment section to sign up for the emailing list. And until the next video, peace.